the area, part of Nigeria where I was born and where I continue to live, and that is the Niger Delta area, which is in the south of the country, bordering the Atlantic. The Niger Delta, it's wetlands area. It's an area of diverse ecology, but also very fragile ecosystem, made up of lots of rivers and streams, which is has been a source of food, fish for people for generations. Fishing industry used to be the main occupation of the people, as well as farming. So in the first place, the biggest threat that we people in the communities in Nigeria have had to their livelihood, to the environment, has come originally from the transnational mining corporations, transnational petroleum corporations like Shell, like Chevron, like Total, that have been exploiting for oil and gas in the area in ways that are scandalous, to say the least. Some of the most reckless forms of exploitation of resources, you find in the Niger Delta area, that has resulted in massive pollution, the devastation of the environment. So that is the first and immediate threat to livelihoods in the area. When the people attempt to protest, and we find a situation where oil companies protected by the state's security or the soldiers or mobile police have gone into communities and massacred people. We've had those kind of situations from the 1990s, and that is continuing even as we speak. So we understand that apart from the immediate impacts of petroleum exploitation on the environment of areas like the Niger Delta, that petroleum is also a contributor to climate change.
Of course, it's the main.
Because of the emission of greenhouse gases from the burning of gas in the form of petrol or diesel for transportation and for energy generation. But this is what I would call double jeopardy. And that communities in the Niger Delta, where I come from, that have already burdened by petroleum exploitation, are also now dealing with the realities of climate change in the way that it impacts on livelihoods of farmers and fishers. And I will just give you some background about my experiences as a young, as a child, as a boy growing up in the Niger Delta. It was an area, there was no sense of lack. Even in the rural areas, there was enough food for people because the land could yield enough food for the people. The rivers and the streams could yield enough food for the people. I have some of my fondest memories ever, and I was, growing up and going fishing, and it was easy to catch fish. Sometimes it was for fun, something that we did after school. We just go to the stream just to get some fish. Going to the farm with parents, there was no use of fertilizers or any such things because the land was very fertile and it yielded food easily. But now we have a situation that areas that in the Niger Delta that used to be seasonally flooded. So we have in West Africa, we have two seasons. Generally, we have the rainy season and the dry season. And during the rainy season, there are areas that become flooded. There are small floods, and farmers know how to manage those changes, but now we have a situation where the floods, the scale of the flooding is unprecedented. We used to hear when we were kids that once upon a time there were, occasional heavy floods. And my grandparents used to tell me about those kind of floods that happens once in a while. So for some people, they see those kind of floods once in their lifetime. These are floods that will get into the town beyond the what is normal. But what we have been seeing in the past, since I remember that there was such flood in 1994. That was the first time in my lifetime that such a flood was experienced. And there was also a flood in 2012. And after 2012, we have been experiencing such heavy flooding almost annually. This is something that used to happen once after many decades. Now it's happening, these huge floods are happening almost annually. And the result is that farmers are losing their livelihoods. It used to be that the regular floods that we used to know as kids were such that only certain areas were flooded, and farmers knew the areas that would be flooded. And so they will plant and harvest before the floods. But now the entire area, and everywhere is flooded, including homes. And every year, farmers will have to move away, to seek shelter as refugees, upland. But what is even more damaging is the fact that every year farmers have only a small window to plant, a few months to grow their food, and then the flood will come and they have to harvest everything. And between that time, people are not having enough a lot, because if to harvest quickly before the big floods come, they sell everything, and then which can last them, for a few months, and then the rest of the year they are with nothing. Sometimes farmers are having difficulty to even raise the resources to replant again. So this is a situation that is very dire, that is causing a lot of difficulty for farmers, particularly the women that are very active in farming in this area. The reality of having these big floods, and very regularly, floods that used to be rare in the past. This is something that's happening in the south of the country, particularly in the Niger Delta area. I was seeing this kind of similar flooding even elsewhere in the country.